And I'm gonna ask you that please try to keep your mics muted throughout the session when Caroline and Bill are presenting. And then there will be an opportunity for asking questions later on in the evening. And of course, if you have questions or any issues, you can always post it on the chat. I will be monitoring the chat myself, and I will try to help you out with whatever situation you have, or also I will be able to ask the question later for you. And I think that's pretty much it. Again, welcome to Stride. I'm Junuen Perez Verti. I am the co-chair of the organizing committee of Stride. Grant Withers is also here with us, and he is the co-chair, the other co-chair for the festival. We're really, really happy to welcome you today to this session, to this mindful art with Carolyn Sullivan and Bill Thomson. I really think you're gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna introduce Carolyn. Is a local Burnaby photographer and digital media artist. She's an advocate for the arts and was on the planning committee for the Stride Festival as well. And mindful art was started by Carolyn, and when the COVID restrictions first came in, and tonight's event is, as I mentioned, part of the Stride Festival. So thank you again for attending. And without further ado, here is Carolyn.
Okay. Anyway, hey, thanks you guys. It's so nice that you all came. A lot of you I know, and some of you I've just met now. So I really, really appreciate it. And it's fun to tie in this event that I've been doing with the Stride Festival. So I started mindful photography actually when the COVID first came in. And because of the restriction, I had just retired. I had wanted to travel. I had my planned trip ready to go. And like many photographers, the bags were packed, and we think we have to have pictures taken, or we're going to take pictures as we travel. So when the COVID hit, I spent my first month cleaning up like everybody else did, and cooking and eating and drinking wine and doing everything that average people did during COVID. And so I'd step out in my front yard, step out in my backyard, and that was it. And then a friend of mine, Linda Moncure, her and I were together, and she said, you know, Carolyn, nobody's really talking to us about our lungs, how to improve our lungs, how to really stay healthy, but they're just giving us the warning signal not to go near anybody else. So she asked if I would do a video for her on mindful meditation in the garden. And so we created this video. When I came home, I went, hey, I could do that in my yard. I've got everything that she was talking about. And I had worked for the Vancouver School Board for almost 40 years, and had did a lot in mindfulness with art, with children as an artist in resident, and had taken a lot of the courses that were offered through the curriculum adult for the teachers. So I had worked with children in mindful photography, and I had seen it do amazing things just by calming kids down. It was really worked. And so I thought, I'm going to use this for myself. I'm going to start going out to my yard, and I'm going to just take pictures, just being in the present moment, and not being critical, not worrying about whether I have the right equipment. Someday it would be with my cell, someday it would be with some fancy equipment. And then I would just be curious. I would just try and be curious, try and find things in my yard to occupy my time. So before I knew it, I was going out there daily. And you do not have to meditate. You do not have to do yoga to get involved in mindful art. You really don't. It might help you, but really what I have found the most helpful is to breathe, is before you get into any art, whether it's outside or inside, is just to breathe, just to calm down, breathe, so that you can focus and be in the moment. And then you can go on from there. So for me, I found some of the daily news was really difficult, so I could just, you know, get away from the TV, walk out the front door and take some pictures, breathe, and then the next day go out the back. And so over the year, I actually covered 4 seasons. Now, Vancouver doesn't have much snow, so it was a very short season. Our snow is coming on tomorrow maybe, and we're going to have our big snow dump. So I'm anxiously looking forward to photographing that. So at this point, I want to introduce Bill Thomson, and have him come up as a co-host here. And hi, Bill.
Hello there. Hello.
So this is my dear old friend, Bill. Bill and I go back many, many years when we lived in Port Moody, and we've been involved in so many community art projects in Port Moody and now in Burnaby. And so he has always delighted me with his whimsical, humorous sculptures and his cleverness that he can see things in. So I am really happy that he is joining us today as my guest artist here. So as I started taking pictures and I did my first show, I had friends who were artists who phoned me up and said, hey, you know what? That's exactly where I am. I would like to come on board. And so, or I'd be talking to them and I'd say, hey, you're thinking on the same way as I am. And I've even had one lady who's here tonight, Linda Arkelin. I've never met her online, and I just knew she'd be perfect for it. So she was one of the guests a couple of months ago. So I've had all different kind of guests. You can go on the Mindful Art with Carolyn. You can see snippets of videos of everybody. But tonight I want to show you some stuff, how I've continued in photography, and then mainly I want to highlight my friend Bill and his whimsical art and his sculptures. So Bill, how have you changed with your art since in the last year? How are you dealing with all this in your art?
Well, I don't know if there's really been any large changes per se. I did have to deal with pretty quickly on cancellation of some exhibitions and some projects that I was helping to organize for groups. So in that case, it was kind of a sharp backing off from my work in that area. But really, it provided me, I suppose, a little bit of time to look inward myself. I found myself going back to a lot of unfinished sculptures and assemblages that had been sitting around my apartment for too long. And so I found time to revisit those pieces and actually complete a few. So there was a positive part to the COVID situation. I also kind of found that due to the really somewhat depressing and dark side of the pandemic in terms of the world news and it still being an evolving process, essentially, I really did see that adding or making my colors that I used more vibrant seemed to help a little bit. And also, just adding even some elements of light. Unfortunately, I have access to a couple electrical wizards around Burnaby, so they helped me put some LEDs in various things. And overall, it just added that extra positive outlook for what was going on around me. So yeah, those were really short-term effects, but I was affected by the process, by the situation for sure.
It went by fast, didn't it?
Yes. Well, it's still evolving in some ways, yeah.
In some ways, you look back on it and it looks really, it went by really fast.
Well, it's been a year, isn't it? It's been really almost a year or so. And in fact, some of those same projects I mentioned, the group exhibitions are still postponed or maybe in fact never happened. So that's, till the fall, we're not sure what the final results of those will be. So,
That's so true. I'm going to show some pictures that are projects that were stalled that I was so looking forward to, one big project, and it's all on hold until we can get back. So,
Great.
So right now I want to show you just a few slides that I've been working on. And Bill, I want to add to what you said. Yes, projects were on hold. I had started a really exciting project that would be a combination of video performance and installation around dance, because I'm very involved in the dance. And so that's one project that is put on hold because I couldn't have access to the dancers. and I couldn't bring them into my house and my studio. Second thing, I know what you mean about color. When I was thinking about photographing getting some pictures here, I have been going out to the garden and photographing it. Well, the snow's not here, and I only have so many lines in my yard with the empty trees without their leaves. And I honestly don't like rain. I find that the rain can really send me over, and I have to get a light. I don't do well in the rain, to be very, very honest. So I've spent, since the last Zoom meeting, on the computer, a lot of it on the computer, and mainly just playing. And so I just want to show you some pictures that I've been doing with playing. I'll show you some of the stuff that I've been doing with the dancers that's put on hold. And so this stuff is play. So if you just bear with me, I will set up the screen and I will share it and I will show you. So this is play. This is a lot of color. I found the news from the last month very troublesome for me. And I found, like you, Bill, I needed color. And so I went back and I looked for spring. Spring is one of my favorites, spring and fall, and pulled up some of the spring pictures and just played with it, just had fun. Just usually don't have time to just play. I don't know how many of you work in Photoshop, so this is all done in Photoshop. This picture, if you ever sit underneath the cherry trees, the light comes streaming through, and it just reminded me, and this was one day that I really wanted sunshine, and so I went and tried to find it and mimic it on the screen. I've done a lot of dancers. This is my neighbor next door, because we've been on and off still taking dance at the Shadbolt. So some weeks I've had access to dance and some weeks I haven't. So luckily I've had dancers next door. This is the kind of stuff that I do a lot of, which is compositions, kind of creating and making little stories up. Collages, do a lot of collages over the years, right from the very, very beginning when computers were so difficult to work with and we only had 3 megs and 30 megs and small little stuff. I could never get a picture as big as I wanted it. So I started collaging. I worked in collage even before Photoshop even had layering, and just created my own layers at the time. More dance. This is the project that was put on hold. This is going to end up being an installation performance piece as well as video. And this is all based on the garden too. You can see it's got the garden all in her outfit. And so what it is will have all the images of the garden, which I have done, will all be in the dancers' bodies. So here's some garden stuff, and it will have a statement, lots of statements to it. So unfortunately, we had to put a halt on this when we weren't allowed to come back and be in the same buildings at the time Shadbolt got closed too. So hopefully I can go back to that. I'm looking forward to it. The dancers are looking forward to it. Some more flowers. Again, the irises that were so pretty, just played with. This is one that I just took last week with the bare empty trees and our little roof here with the little crow just sitting there wanting to go inside and poop. This is an older picture I did right in the spring. This is my granddaughter. I miss her so dearly. I haven't been able to see her, so I get to play with her pictures a lot. Her favorite color was purple.
Carolyn?
Yes?
Sorry to interrupt, but the photos aren't coming through.
I see them.
Oh, okay, never mind. I'll see. Maybe it's my screen.
Oh.
They're coming through on mine.
Yeah.
Okay, it must be my end here.
Okay.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay, this is the last one anyhow. Oh, you know what? Thanks for saying that. I don't know who it was who was saying that, but yeah, if it doesn't show up, please let us know even beforehand, you know, right away. They'll be online, so you will see them Linda's getting the pictures. Anybody else had problems getting it? You can just text it. So, okay. Oh, you scared me. I thought, oh, didn't do it right. So that's what I have to show for you. So I'll let you have some questions and answers in just a minute. But what I want to do is get back to Bill. So Bill.
Hello, hello.
What percentage of your work are you find that you're going back and reworking it?
What percentage? I don't know if there's a percentage. I mean, I've had numerous pieces sitting around my apartment for 6 months to a year that are in various states of assemblage and disrepair. So those pieces, those limited number of pieces I was able to focus on. I also have a lot of work actually that's in storage, work that has potential, unfinished work, but that may take the rest of my life to complete. So I'm not too worried about that.
Bill, did you find that when the COVID first started, did you think, oh my God, am I going to have supplies to be able to continue working?
No, not so much. I have a storage locker. It seems to have lots of supplies. And because I work often with found objects or recycled materials, I have other friends who are able to source some of the material for me. So, no, on the supply side, not an issue at all.
Okay, so before I show these slides, I personally have one question for you. When you pick up a piece of plastic, a container, do you automatically see a sculpture in it?
No.
No? Well, I'm curious to hear about your process, but
Sure.
I want to show the people their work and then you can tell us this, okay?
Well, the process is rather eclectic. I mean, it's as much to do with fabrication, I think, and kind of the piecing of different materials together to create something different. Well, it looks like we're going to see some photos here. So this is a mask I made. It has an LED set of antlers to it and has a flashing nose piece also. But it consisted of a bit of a Christmas decoration I found, and then I supplemented with some license plates, some found materials, jar top, so forth and so forth. And then it transformed itself into this mask, which is quite popular, it seems. So maybe you can show another slide here.
Yeah, just a minute.
So to answer your question, perhaps a lot of the materials that I do find are loaded with meaning because they're shapes that are fabricated, manufactured. So the trick is often to break through that initial form and meaning and find something else. In this case, a little different. This is a mock-up for a table. I made it out of plywood, painted it, put a piece of glass on top, and I realized that actually it could work. So I later transferred it to a metal, and it was cut out of pieces of metal welded together. So it's a functional table. So it's my application of my art to function.
Beautiful.
And this is an experiment I did. It was actually not recent, a couple of years ago. I had the idea that I really wanted to try and find what the interrelationship was between a painting and an assemblage. So although these are different layers of found objects, mostly wood, with some acrylic paint and some other mediums added in. Essentially, it's just layering and trying to find out, okay, if there was a picture plane, what would that look like versus what would be behind it and so forth. So it was an experiment. I haven't done any since, but I think I would like to in the future continue to do some more like this. And perhaps more monotone like this, which again is an earlier work, but it really kind of, I think, brings out the aspect of a sculpture in the sense of the structure. This is a dead lead guitarist, I call it, the skeletal remains, but again, all found objects, all wood, and assembled with screws and some white paint, real basic.
And this is in a gallery.
At the time it was in, at the time it was in the Burnaby Arts Council house. Again, not recent. But I did do a series of about 3 or 4 of those kind of sculptures that are now in storage. And I've also done a lot of masks. In this case, these are 4 chair bottoms, some plastic, some wood. And I've just, again, added some materials, some color, some shapes, and they turned out to be characters in some form or other. I have a lot of masks. I also worked with quite a bit with license plates. So this is essentially a shark form. It's about 7 feet long. And I used the backs of the plates, and then I hand painted the letters inside to give it a bit of depth. And it looks quite striking under the right kind of lighting conditions. My next stage of this would be, in fact, to add an LED surround to it. Early mask made out of a paint can, very much in the folk art tradition, I suspect. You know, trying to keep it, they're fun. They look good in a tree, maybe, I don't know. And I made a lot of fish. Over a period, perhaps 2 or 3 years, I've assembled a lot of salmon, a few piranha, some sharks, some flounders, et cetera, et cetera. And these are, again, very much, I think, in the folk tradition. They seem to sell well. They're colorful. They're fun to have. They look good in a white studio, you know, wall. Yeah. And they're about, I guess they're about 3 feet long, each of those. This is a different kind of piece. This is I did a series of sculptures when I had access to a garden. And those sculptures were wood forms painted white. And this was actually a shadow that came off of one of those forms that I then transposed back into wood. So essentially that was on the ground, a shadow on the ground, which I then used for a template more or less to make a freestanding work. I like the animation a little bit, and this one's kind of dancer-like and a bit more toward the abstract, which is kind of fun.
Love it.
This is a hodgepodge. I had thought at one point it'd be fun to sort of make a fantasy stage for some kind of opera, but my opera turned out to have a bird and a snake and an angel, maybe. I don't know it, but so I got caught up in the, not the inner works of the set design, but what it might look like overall. It has kind of a Dada feel to it, a surrealism, but I never did work out a proper meaning for this piece. It was just an assemblage that I created. It was quite large, actually. It's about 4 or 5 feet high, I guess. Yeah. I did a whole series of masks again, all scales, large and small. I did a lot of tin can type of things. These tin cans all came from, I had a whole basket of tin cans that I picked up from the creek at the Britannia mine up the coast. And they were put in the creek to alleviate some of the pollution that was coming out of that creek. So the tin and then neutralized some of the bad stuff in the creek. But there were so many of these flattened cans, I just couldn't help but take some home. So. And again, quite an early piece actually. So this was a running shoe I found, some string, some plaster, a giant salad fork, and somehow it turned into this standing kind of standing figure. This is more recent. This is actually a piece because I'm attached to another group which has very much all about sculpture, I thought, well, I better learn how to do some stonework. This is a very minimal piece. It started as a solid piece of alabaster, which I hollowed out by hand. And then I added a light element, and I simply put it on the coffee table, took a cell phone, and I got this very nice, soft sculpture. It's very much a mood light in a sense, but the stone is so transparent and so beautiful. The colors are special. And this is a very recent piece, and actually it'll come up again in one of my projects, but this was a simple sea star that I wanted to make. It's about 5 feet across, plywood, cut some lines through it, added a lot of screws, added a small reflective element to it, and played with the color. This came out of that period when I felt color was something important to play with. So yeah, so there's a recent assemblage. And those are meant really as just kind of sampling, because I have a lot of different forms and scales of my work. So I don't know if there's any questions about that.
Beautiful stuff, Bill. Really, really fun stuff.
Thank you.
I have some more sculptures of Bill's to show you, but first of all, Bill wants to just talk to you a little bit about a lot of this art that he showed you there was fun individual pieces, but he has also collaborated with people and created statement pieces. It's hard as an artist to just do always just really pretty pictures or nice pictures without really putting some of our own opinions, I guess you would say. So maybe you'd like to add to that, Bill?
Sure. Well, you're right. I think an artist doesn't work in a vacuum. They live in a community. They see things that happen around them. There's lots of issues that artists might find of interest for different reasons: economic, political, social. In my case, I've done a couple things in Burnaby in the last few years that I enjoyed participating in, and they involved a bit of collaboration with other artists, and also kind of adapting or pushing my own assemblage work into that kind of context. So maybe we can start. One of the first ones I looked at was I asked myself the question: I live in Burnaby. Where is the center of Burnaby? Oh, next section, I guess.
Okay, yeah, we're getting there, Bill. There we go.
And when I asked that question, I know where Metrotown is, North Burnaby, South Burnaby. I've been to throughout the municipality, but I wasn't a little unclear where the center, the geographic center, which is called a centroid, by the way. It's a very specific term that you can devise through formulas. And there's a centroid in physics, a centroid in math, and a centroid in geography. So anyways, I approached the director of planning for the city of Burnaby, and I asked him, where is the center of this municipality? He said, oh, he didn't know. And so I asked him to calculate where that would be. And it turns out he gave me a latitude and longitude, what their calculations showed could be the location. So I tracked it down, and it turns out it's this red dot that I've identified on the map here, this aerial photograph, this is the west end of Burnaby Lake, and the freeway would be here, and the CJ Brown area up here, the recreation center. So it's in this little patch of ground, and I thought, well, I found it, I've identified it. Shouldn't we try and mark it or celebrate it or do something, because the city has no record of this? So I put up a sign, my own centroid sign, and if you followed this sign, you'd go down the road a little ways, and sure enough, you'd see something that, by the way, I collaborated with another artist on this, Mr. Simmer, Ron Simmer. And Ron Simmer has this fantastic collection in his backyard of junk. I mean, a lot of metal pieces and scrap, and he's a master of collecting these things. So we collaborated, we assembled this little instant sculpture. Maybe it's about 18, 20 feet high. We transported it to the site, we plunked it down, we had a ceremony. It's considered a temporary installation. It was only there for a day, but it does mark where the centroid of Burnaby would be. So we also had a little ceremony. We celebrated by celebrating the four elements, earth, fire, water, and air. We distributed materials to celebrate those directions and the cardinal directions. And it turned out to be a success, I think. But again, it's gone. There's no record other than our installation for that short period of time. But it was a fun project to be associated with. Another project, this one is a little different because being a longtime resident of Burnaby and totally aware of the potential impacts that would be coming down the line when they twinned the Kinder Morgan pipeline into Burnaby. Not everybody was in favor of it. Some people were, because it created jobs, et cetera, but it would have some impact. So I participated in a couple of the community demonstrations about the project. My personal concern was more about what the water impacts might be around, whether they're doing the bulk loading of this at the terminal in Burnaby and the north end, and the amount of tanker traffic that would go through in and out of the harbor of Vancouver. So based on that, I borrowed 37 blue boxes from the city of Burnaby, and then I created my own little oil tanker. So this oil tanker had a slick, and my friend, Mike Stefarek, who was a master electrician, worked with me, and we got some lights and put it inside this thing. We attended this little community protest that happened in a park in North Burnaby at the time. But maybe if you show the next slide, we lit it up in various locations. It was part of a living room arts project. It was part of we installed it temporarily down in the West End. All these things are very temporary and a matter of guerrilla art. You move in, you set it up, you document it, and you leave. And it was my kind of little way to adapt my assemblage work and put it in a context that I felt, was important. Whether it had any effect in the long term is hard to say. And the final project that, go ahead, is more recent, is simply that I'm part of the Stride Festival of the Arts in Burnaby. wonderful little community effort to bring the arts to a broader perspective. And so as part of that, they had a number of venues set up for visual artists. They assigned me to the Oxmoor Market, it's called. This is a very old corner store on Oxford Street in North Burnaby. And they gave me 2 windows to work with. So I thought, wow, it needs some color. It needs something, you know, lighthearted. So I made these sea stars for it. They're basically 4 or 5 foot plywood cutouts with a mirror element added. And then I had, you can't see in the corner, in the inside wall, I had some of those smaller stars.
Sorry,
Yeah.
here.
That's just to decorate, because the new manager of the store is very into plants, and I thought, well, add a little color to his greenery. So there we go. So those are 3 local projects that I've been involved in locally, and also some of it since COVID time. So they're fun to do. And we're kind of whipping through, so I don't know if there's any questions or.
Yeah. Joanne, could we
Yes.
Unmute people at this time? If you have any questions, we're going to do a little break in between the slideshows, and we're open for some questions from anybody. We could take a few questions right here, and then we'll have another question period at the end if you want to. So any anything, comments or questions? There are some in the chat, I think.
There's one in the chat here. Is like, Bill, do you seek out materials for a specific project, or does each found piece tell you what it wants to become?
I think it's a combination. Some pieces lend to the, you know, instantly join together with others to create something on the spot. I don't have I don't usually make long-term plans in terms of my creations, or do I make a lot of sketches? Often it's a hands-on kind of fabrication process. So yeah, the found objects are somewhat difficult to work with, because like I said, they come with a lot of meaning, a lot of shapes that are manufactured. So the biggest struggle is to break through that initial material and see if you can find some other artistic aspect to it, or some other new meaning, perhaps, if you assemble it differently. Yeah.
Carolyn,
Yes.
I was really interested in your photography of the dancers.
Yes.
You do photography at Shadbolt, eh?
I take classes there too.
Have you ever photographed Salome?
No, but I know Salome.
Yeah, I just wondered if you'd ever photographed her.
No, I'd really like to. I've seen her dance many times, and she's a wonderful dancer.
She's a friend of mine. She's a wonderful dancer. So I just wondered if you'd ever photographed her.
No, you know, I've talked to her about my project, so she knows about my project and everything. And unfortunately, like I say, the project, which I was hoping that Salome could help me with, it had to be put on hold because the COVID. So.
It's a bird. All right.
Yeah, she has a beautiful bird. Bill, you're getting a lot of compliments on your Centroid installation. We're getting it from Grant. We're getting it from Daniel. We're getting lots of people loved your illuminated oil tanker.
Great, thank you.
So yes, this Centroid installation is a big hit.
Yeah,
And somebody, Amelia, has walked over to the store and seen your work at the Oxford Corner grocery store.
this, I think, does Daniel have a question? Daniel, do you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question for Bill, if I may. So Bill, I really liked your sort of sea-inspired things, like the sea stars and the salmon and so on. So Burnaby isn't exactly known as a coastal community, even though it kind of is. I'm just wondering where your inspiration comes from that, because I just really appeals to me, that sort of sea beach type art.
Well, I actually think it came right out of COVID, because it was kind of about the opposite side of maybe what the pandemic is all about. It's very much about being at the beach and enjoying the, you know, the colors of the tropical environments, perhaps. So yeah, it was just a fun piece to make, and in a period when it seemed rather dark.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Very cool.
I have one question for you, Bill. Do you do fly fishing at all?
No.
No?
I like fish.
Okay,
No.
does Still Creek have salmon again?
Yeah, I believe, yeah, I've seen, there were salmon spawning at least a year or two ago. I think the stream keepers work on that Still Creek quite a bit. I've certainly kayaked it and I've seen it up close in lots of places. The last time I saw salmon migrating, and I guess what you'd call the beginnings of Still Creek, was over by the Opus warehouse up Boundary Road. There's a ditch, an open ditch, and that ditch had spawning salmon in it, which was amazing.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Christine Pollard has a question for me. Says, loves your Photoshop collage. Do you use physical materials too, or print these out? The ones that I showed you are all digital. However, I'd like to just make a comment about that since the COVID period, because I've been a photographer all my life, and back a long time ago, we didn't have digital. So we had to print everything out in order to get more work. So I had tons and tons of old photographs, and it was all done with beautiful black and white work on traditional paper that was double fixed, so it lasts really long. And I started going through it. I was going to throw it out. They were all people I had no contact with. I had no idea who they were, couldn't remember much. Threw it all in a big box and had this huge box. I went to throw it away and realized how many dollars it cost me. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't throw it away. So I thought about Bill remaking things. I thought about other artists who have said they've painted on everything. And I started collaging. And I do have a whole series of stuff that I will show one day with paint. And it's all collage that is my photos, which is really kind of cool because many people collage, but it's not with their own work, where this is all, it's layers and lots of photos from all over, and they all have new stories to it. And it's been a lot of fun to redo it. I made a lot of collages with the children when I used to teach for Art Starts or the Vancouver School Board. Did a lot of photo collages with the kids, but never did them for myself. It was always for samples for the children. So since COVID, I have a whole stack now, and I would love to do a show on it. Yeah. So thank you.
There's one more question.
Sea stars people really like, Bill.
Caroline, there's one more question from Jimmy. Bill, has COVID changed the way you source your recycling materials, or have you found restrictions?
No restrictions. It's there's lots of debris out in the world, and it's an endless supply essentially. Yeah.
I think, Mike, do you have a question, Mike?
I do. I don't know how to type it in. I'm on my iPad, but have you guys found, for both of you, has the pandemic added an underlying darkness to any of your work, or are you going in the opposite direction?
I'm choosing to go the opposite direction. I mean, I think there are a lot of sculptors, for instance, who have made works of the COVID cell itself. I've seen that online a lot. So there are people who are going right into the disease train to see if they can make something artistic or creative out of it. But I personally have taken a slightly different route.
I have to agree with Bill. I choose to go the opposite direction. I would have loved to have been a reporter and been right there in the thick of it all and been at the hospital photographing. I would have loved that. Since I couldn't have that opportunity, I decided to go the opposite way and do the prettiness, the tranquility, the sweetness of my yard. So.
Tough question, Steve.
Yeah,
Mike.
It's a juicy question. It's a really juicy question.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot of exciting things that you could do, and I still think about it. Just the pollution, the extra pollution of the masks and the gloves. I have a collection of that in some ways, but that's about as far as I go. But there's a photographer, a doctor here in Vancouver. I'd like to have him come on the show. He has photographed all the medical people in their own life. So out skiing, and then split their body, half as a skier and half in the medical equipment. You know, and it's very striking stuff, very striking.
I think I think Shula has a question. Yeah, if you can unmute, please.
Shula?
I think you need to unmute.
People like
You're still muted.
Crow.
Can you,
Hi, Shula, can you unmute? No,
can the host unmute her? No.
I can try, but
you go.
there
There.
you go. There
So
you go.
I did it. Sorry, I didn't know how to write anything either.
Okay.
This is something just for Carolyn.
Okay.
I too, I used to do meditative dance for many years, and COVID came, and then it was the end of that, and that's been really hard. However, I do paper sculpture lanterns, and I figured out, I just thought over Christmas I got obsessed with doing, like I did 7 or 8 of them. And I figured out a way to have a lantern on your hand. So, and then, so this might be something for your dancers. I was looking for people who wanted to take them out. I'm so happy. I go out at night and I see so many people have left their Christmas lights up.
Well,
Like,
you know what?
wow.
Could I get your address? I would love to contact you. And Linda here is a professional dancer in the audience. I could see her eyes light up, and yeah, we will contact you. Thank you very much. Very interesting stuff.
Great.
I 100%. And Bill, how do you feel about my quote, art influences art? Do you believe that?
Of course, yeah. It's a wonderful a resource to tap into, and there's so many ways one can learn and you know, push the art to another place, another meaning. There's great opportunity just by using art as the vehicle, the main vehicle, of course.
It's so wonderful to work in a collaboration. One of the reasons I started this is that I was a little bit envious of my husband because he plays in a band and he has that group event. And so after I started this, and when people first started saying they'd like to come on and talk about their art, and I went, hey, yeah, I don't get that collaboration. And because of COVID, I was really feeling even more isolated. And to tell you the truth, these Zoom meetings, like this is either 9 or 10, have really helped me stay focused to have a piece of work completed. But I really have appreciated getting to know people more in depth, like Bill more in depth, even though Bill and I have known each other for many, many years, to be able to really see his work and have a chance to focus on his work while we're working on this has been really exciting. And so I have found that every artist I've worked with has influenced me in some ways to even go better. We have so many good. Sorry.
Do you want to take one more question? Bruce has a question.
Okay, Bruce, sure. And then we have more, and then we'll come back to questions. Bruce, where are you?
I was just typing it out, so maybe I can.
You can say
typing long enough. Bill, such a huge skill set of material to work with all those different materials. Have you acquired that through training or through mentorship or solely through your own experience?
Yeah, no, it's a simple hands-on trial and error. I dabble a little bit. I took perhaps some introductory metal courses, never any woodworking. I have worked in different materials, paper, so forth and so forth. So yeah, but most of it's self-taught, I guess you'd say, or learn by doing, you know? So yeah. I just have, I think it's not a problem or an issue for me, but I have this very eclectic approach to fabrication processes and experimentation. So I dabbled in a lot of different mediums.
I want to show you a very quick video first of Bill's work.
Oh, we have a video.
So this is going to come on really fast. So here's a quick, and then Bill will talk about it.
Okay, well, this is nothing too serious again. This is all my laundry soap containers that I decided to stack one day and turn into a lamp. So about 7 feet tall, and I have it in my living room. It's just kind of a fun piece. There's so many plastic pieces in the world out there that there's a ready supply of these. And of course, it's the year of the rat, or it was the year of rat. It just ended. So that's it.
Okay, and one more we want to share, but Bill, you can talk while I set up the next one. If you could just tell them anything more about that wonderful sculpture.
The one we just saw?
Yeah.
No, it's I've made a lot of, I think in principle, I always wanted to make some mobiles. So I have created a lot of hanging and what I would call flying objects, mostly made out of plastic containers. So that tower you just saw, that light tower, is just kind of a static piece, but I have, and I don't have a photo here, I have a lot of bird-like structures that are made out of containers, and I try and make them as animated as possible. Some have lights, and so I've done a fair amount of that kind of material usage also. Yeah.
Okay. So before we get started now with these, we're going to see a collection of photos that Bill does. And one thing about photography nowadays is that with this use of the cell is that everybody can take pictures, you know, so it's absolutely such a wonderful medium, is because you can use photography for everything, from whether it's for documentation or whether it's for ideas as a sketch pad or whether it's for art. And so Bill has really gotten into photography. Did you do photography for years?
I did photography before I ever tried to assemble objects. So yeah, back at the university, I actually worked, or didn't work, I played in the darkroom a lot. So I learned some basics, and I think I've always been a fallback position, that I've used the photography as a tool for my creative processes all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's got some beautiful pictures, and so I want to show you his pictures now.
So when I think of photography, I mean, this is, to me, is a bit of a visual metaphor for you know, the way everyone sees through different lenses. You know, as you get older, you need different kinds of lenses yet again, but there's so many different ways of seeing that this image of me in the office is, you know, getting prescription written out is just a self-portrait for sure. I played in fashion, if you call this fashion. If you make cushions, I guess that's fashion. I mean, I've done t-shirts, running shoes, skateboards, et cetera, et cetera. This was just a drawing that I was playing with that was rather crude, but then put on a cushion seemed to have more merit. So.
Is that you, Bill?
No, I think it was based on some person I saw, and I just did a bad sketch of them, and turned out to be a fun piece. This is a photograph of a truck that was actually designed and built in Burnaby. There was a truck company of Ford off in Kingsway, way back in the 30s or 20s, and this was the vehicle they produced, this kind of a station wagon. And this vehicle is actually part of when they have the Hats Off Days on Burnaby on Hastings Street, they do have a car show. This car was there. I took an image of it, and then I transposed it to make it into a kind of a more antique-y looking print. And it's a nice, has sort of an antiquated look to it, which I like. Like everybody else in Burnaby, you go to the local parks. There's some great parks in Burnaby. This is at Deer Lake. That's a fantastic elevated wooden walkway trail through that area. I just love the perspective of kind of going from infinity into the woods. In fact, when you're at Deer Lake, often you think you're not in the city at all, because there's no major towers or coffee shops. It's just a beautiful little wild area in the middle of the city, quite special. Photograph of some maple leaves that were lying on the ground. I just added a bit more of color and kind of made them pop. Yeah, it's a strong print. My local barber, and this was during Hats Off Days. I think someone gave him a sign, so they felt he had to make prints also, although he doesn't make prints there. But so he's a very friendly chap. He has a whole slew of family in that barbershop, and they cut old guy hairs like mine, and it's kind of fun to hang out there. So, and I lucked out in that picture, by the way, the dog was leaving the premises when I took the photo. I thought that was pretty special. So just walking along the new Hastings Street in North Burnaby, you see all these wonderful 3- and 5-story new condos going up. But the reality is a lot of Burnaby was a lot of independent small ex-houses and stores that lined Hastings Street. This is actually the back alleyway. And this is an existing premise. It's a storefront up on Hastings, but the back is just this tired old structure. And so there's a lot to be found in the landscape of the local community if you bother to look. With just a cell phone taken walking down the alley. It's not really super sharp, but that's okay. I added a bit of color to give it an accent. Metrotown, all this new construction that's going on in the south of Burnaby, Metrotown area is just gives all these buildings, some new, some old, a very kind of electric feel. I mean, it might be about change in the landscape, but it's also about the energy. So in this picture I took, I simply energized these buildings a bit more with a filter and it came out quite well. So I just see a power in these kind of structures. They are dominating the landscape in many places in the city these days. And I don't know if that was the last one. Oh,
sorry, no. There's quite a few, Bill. Let's not get excited.
Yeah, so Confed Park, very popular place in North Burnaby to take your laps and on a nice rubberized trail or circuit. And so when I was walking around there one day, I thought, gee, what if I looked down? I would see essentially the grass and the border close up, which I took another shot of at the same time I was walking. So later on, when I put them together, I thought, well, of course it's a house and there must be people who live underneath this track. There's a whole underground community in North Burnaby that could, help the homeless. I don't know. There's just a lot of possibilities in the fantasy world here that you could take in a lot of different ways. So every natural feature of this municipality has potential for an artist's eye. It's kind of a fixture again on Hastings Street in North Burnaby. This place that makes ceramic. They have a fantastic set of molds and they make a lot of statues, a lot of decorative pieces originally for the Italian community. I don't know. They've been around for a long time. And this is literally a wall with a line of their sculptures on top. My original thought was, well, surely there must be a restroom or something at the end because this is a great lineup to wait for something. But it's statuary. It's fun to look at. It's unique. It's old school. Helen's a very highly identifiable North Burnaby icon. The original Helen store, now called the Heights, modified by the city to reflect the contemporary world. And I took this photo from the sidewalk and then I simply played with it a bit to give it a little more pizzazz, perhaps. There's $1 million spent on the Greenway, the so-called linear parkway that goes along Willington from the Brentwood Shopping Mall up to Hastings Street in North Burnaby. And along that linear corridor, they put a walking path and a lot of very kind of designerly architecture pieces. This is one corner of a elongated sitting area, all wood, all very interesting. I just like the graphic element, the very strong dynamic that's shown by this piece. And also where I used to live in this area, immediately called Brentwood, it's the buffer zone between the transition between the new and the old, the march of the condo towers that is taking over. And I did this in black and white simply to give it a little more drama. These towers, of course, are mostly complete now. And so you're looking at a 60-foot tower versus a 1.5-story house that was the dominant feature in that landscape previous to the last couple of years. So. Interesting change times in Burnaby. It's changing all the time. So my other, I call it escapism perhaps from art, is that I try and do a lot of outdoor activities the best I can with friends. And these are just some quick photos I took of the water reflections. This was, where was this? One of the local lakes. And we were kayaking at the time. And I just loved the color, the reflections, the light, the movement of the light in the water. So I took a photo. And I put 2 or 3 of the same together. Again, kayaking in this case on Deer Lake. There's a lot of very interesting growth structures that come out of the side of the lake. This particular one is an extended dead branch, but it also has a lot of growing new growth on it. And it's just a great kind of architectural statement, I think, in the landscape. I loved it. I also recently bought an electric bike, so I'm forcing myself in the summer months to get out a bit and stretch the old bones. This is the largest mural in Burnaby. It was completed just last year in 2020, I think. And it's part of the Grosvenor site, which is going to be a very large new development where there currently is a car sales place on Loite Highway. I just like the dynamics of the work. There's an East Vancouver muralist who did this work, and it's quite dramatic in terms of scale and color. So I just like the mixing of all these different materials. And my other winter access to getting away from art and all other kinds of stresses is to go cross-country skiing. I enjoy that a lot. So this happens to be just part of the trail system up in the Cypress Bowl area. I go up there frequently, and when the conditions are right, it's one of the prettiest places that's so close to Vancouver, you can't believe. So it's a terrific place to go and play. Again, up in Cypress area, kind of a progressive state as I march up the mountain to try and get to the top. We need more these days. We need some new snow, and I understand we're going to get some this weekend, so that might be kind of a big improvement up there. It's been quite mild, and there's a meltdown taking place, but it can be quite beautiful in the right sun situation. And
Sorry, Bill.
Final picture is, I think this was actually taken a year ago, New Year's Day at Cypress, and everything was right. It was late in the afternoon. The lights were kind of bending, and there was a low cloud formation over the city. So it's just a very magic place to be at that particular time. And just the mountain air was fresh. It's terrific. I think that's it, right? Great. Well, thank you for allowing me to show those photos.
They're beautiful. It made me think about, Ruth might remember this. I used to teach a travel photography class years ago. And one of the things I used to teach was, why wait until you've got your bags packed and ready to go? Why don't you get out into your community and photograph it, you know? We do have some incredible stories in our community. In every community I've ever lived in, I've been very fascinated with growth, and I have done a lot of photography around construction. There's something about a construction site that I find quite exciting. And so every community has a lot of growth in it. Bill had some pictures about it today in his work. And so, yeah, if you're interested in photography, your community's got some wonderful pictures, whether you live in Burnaby or Edmonton or anywhere. So you guys have been busy with questions. My goodness, what a bunch of writers. Very cool filter work. Love this one. Wow, inspiring photography, beautiful snow scenes. Lovely work. Thanks so much for sharing. Artists do inspire artists. Bill, you got some nice comments. Sorry, I have to leave a bit early. I have to get my dinner. Thanks for inviting me. Flying lizards.
Sorry?
Somebody wrote, from Jimmy to everybody, the flying lizards.
Okay, good.
I'm not sure. Fascinating soap container light tower. I thought that was really cool. Your lamp is really, really cool. It really, really shows your sense of humor. I've always felt that Bill had a good sense of humor. Is photograph from Ruth, is the photograph you know who photographs the two aspects of the first responders by any chance, Brian Smith? No, she's responding to the question about the doctors, but it isn't him. Christine Pollard, I appreciate the focus on light. We all need more nowadays. Yes, somebody said about the photo I did, the crow was stunningly beautiful. There's a question here. Somebody asked me before, Carolyn, love the photo collage with the dancer and the large flowers. Is there music that is part of this process, and what kind of dance do you take classes in? There will be music with it, yes. And what kind of dances do I take? I'm going to do an advertisement right now for Linda. She's a She's in here. She does dance classes online. I met her online. She has one for seniors movement, and I take that with her. I'm going to start a contemporary modern dance with ballet dance with her this week. And I also take her intermediate ballet class. I also take classes at the Shadbolt. The Shadbolt Center is now open, and they do have adults in class. So I would highly recommend it. And another plug I'd like to give, if you're into Zumba dance, there's a woman here in Burnaby who used to teach Zumba at Welling, the community centers. All of those ladies are offering Zumba classes. And so they've got Zumba classes. You can take a Zumba class 5 days a week between the 3 girls. So Chantal, if you Google Zumba with Chantal, you will see her classes. And then there's, I mainly take Chantal's class, but there's 2 other women that are partners with her that they do a lot of charity events for breast cancer and that I've went to. So I used to take the Zumba classes also live, but they've since shut down and I have not went back to that center. So I need to move. I might not move very well these days. I had a major injury and my balance is very bad, but I try really hard to stay up and I work really hard at it and I need to move. So for me, and I wanted to talk to Bill about this, is I fill my cup by dance. When I was a student back in college, I had a choice between photography and dance, and I finished the photography end of it and the film end of it. And I went and I worked as a vet photographer for a while. And then I went, no, I need to dance. And I actually quit that job and went to dance school full time as in college in Edmonton, and realized that I would starve. I would starve if I'd be a dancer. I wasn't good enough to be a prima ballerina and wasn't, modern dance wasn't happening then. There was no rock videos. There was nothing really. And women, it was very hard to be a choreographer for a woman at that state. So it was either go into photography where I could make a lot of money because photographers were well paid because we were trained well, or starve as a dancer. And I choose the photography. But always liked it. And then you have kids and then you can't afford it because your kids are in hockey or something. And so you just let go. And then eventually you have more time and then you can go back to dance. And so to dance to me is my release. I love to paint too. So I find that as an artist, you need to keep refilling your cup and to get some energy so that you can create more. And so I find that for me, in the last 5 years, it's been movement. Bill, what about you?
Well, I don't.
You ski, you do so many things like.
Well, yeah, I have a lot of recreational interests that get me out. So that's really positive. I'm intrigued still with pursuing the art part. I mean, I never stop making things, and I like to play with experiments. So for me, I guess my cup is filled just by doing what I do, which is more on the creation side. So yeah. Where it's going, I'm never 100% sure where it's going, but obviously don't make things for profit, nor do I make things. They're not necessarily issue driven. So essentially, I'm just more on the experimental exploration side. And that satisfies me a lot.
There's a question for Bill here in the chat from Christine. Do you use Photoshop too? And how did you do the Metrotown photo? That is such a powerful one. Yeah,
actually that's a filter, an app that gives you lots of filter options. So I just was playing with that. I do know Photoshop. I took courses and I have used it in the past. I use it less now. It's a powerful medium. Photography for me has always been a fallback. So I think the image is critical in visual arts, obviously. So I really do encourage people and even emerging photographers to just play with all the aspects of the tools they can find. I mean, as Carolyn's mentioned, a cell phone is more than adequate these days to capture something and to push it to a new place. So, yeah.
And like you said, Bill, there's so many apps, and the apps are so much quicker today, and they're so much cheaper, and the materials are out there, especially for photography. There's no more yucky chemicals. You know,
I think like just like I mentioned maybe about the found object thing, that apps on photography they're limited. I mean, they don't make good art. They just allow you to apply some textures and some things, you know, quickly. So I'm not totally in support of all the filter options that are out there. But I mean, again, it's just another tool or option that's available within the, you know, that visual metaphor. So play with it. Yeah.
One aspect of mindful art is non-judgmental. So if you stay with just even mindful art or mindful photography, when you're going out and you're just creating for the moment and you don't get hung up, like that's the problem with so many people who want to do art or artists getting stuck, is that you get stuck in the problems that we don't have right now. You could say, oh, I don't have a dance studio, or I don't have materials, I don't have a tripod, I don't have, or you could go out shooting and all you have is your cell and you go, geez, I really wish I could have my telephoto lens, you know, or my wide angle lens. But if you just shoot with what you have, you just kind of make do with what you have, the whole mindful aspect of it comes in. And I think the gratitude comes in when you work with limited stuff, and then all of a sudden you go, hey, this pleases me, you know, this pleases me, and it's been an enjoyable moment. So it's been nice. So I think you just have to enjoy the moment. And with COVID, like, it seems like we've been in here for a year, and we did get our schedule in our province for our needle time, but it could all change tomorrow. It could all change. So I think we have to just enjoy the day, focus on today.
And go visit some of the venues for the Stride Festival. It's out till January the 30th. So find a map, do the walk around, see there's some great visual things to check out, some film also, and online activities, I believe.
Noreen's got a question.
Noreen, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. Hi, everyone. Caroline and Bill, this is an amazing session. I just loved watching all your photographs and sculptures. It was really good. And just the feeling of interacting with everybody now that we're locked up inside our homes because of COVID. This really serves a good purpose, because you feel like you have that human touch. So thank you for this session. I had two questions, one for you, Caroline, and one for Bill. So I'll start with Bill. So Bill, like, I'm an accountant by profession, but my job gets really stressful. So I kind of de-stress with art. So I do oil painting and I do photography as well. And that really helps me like manage the stress at work. I love doing creative stuff in my free time. So I'm an amateur photographer. I mean, I've started out about 2 years ago. I still consider myself a beginner. What kind of cameras would you suggest for a beginner photographer to go to, like intermediate or an advanced level?
I don't have a recommendation of a particular camera, but I mean, you can take the most basic camera and use it as your creative tool. So I don't know what you have now, but I would play with what you have. I wouldn't worry so much about getting a higher level SLR camera at a very large expense, but rather take something that's that you have and then just experiment with it a lot. I mean, take more photographs, and then what if I do this instead of that, and see what happens. I think the art will come out of your photographic eye just through those kind of activities. Don't get hung up on the technology part too much. Good luck and keep doing it. Yeah.
Thank you. And Caroline, I had a question for you. Like, I like photographing nature a lot. So do you give lessons, which, you know, I know you do flowers. That's great. I love flowers as well. But something like out in the landscape, I guess right now with COVID, I'm sure we don't have too many opportunities to do that. But other than that, do you give lessons for that?
Well, I did retire last year. So I don't have anything planned right now to teach, no. And maybe when COVID's finished, I will go back to it, but right now I don't do online. I did teach for 20, 30 years from K to college level. And so I'm very good at curriculum development. Can I add to your equipment? Because I do know a lot about equipment. For people who are interested in equipment, one, mindfulness, first of all, is not to worry about equipment, is just to go out and enjoy it. Just cell phone, Instamatic camera, it doesn't really matter, but that's the whole purpose of mindful photography. But if you want to go that one step further, then don't worry about the camera as much as the lens. Start thinking about the lens. So when you go out shooting, you go, I want to get close. And if you're finding that all your pictures are not satisfactory because you're cropping and cropping and cropping, then you need to get maybe a macro lens if you want really tight on your lens, on your flowers or your close-ups. If you find that you're going out and you're doing scenes and you're going, I want to get that, like that picture like Bill had for the very last one, which is a really wide angle of the whole mountains, then now you need a wide angle lens. So that's how you should first start looking at equipment, is what don't I have? And if you find that you're always needing more wide angle, then you need to go to look into wide angle lenses. And if you're if you want to go close, go in that way. So I would first start there, you know, start defining your lenses that you want, what you need your lenses for, because I have over the years seen far too many people carry a lot of equipment that they don't want. And right now you can get some good deals on equipment because people are selling it. And, but I would first find out what you really, really want. Okay. But yeah, text me, and you never know if I'll go back to teaching. We'll see, but we might just enjoy each other's company and go out for the day shooting. Okay.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. Any other question? Feel free to take it off the
Unmute your mic
unmute.
if you need that, if you want to ask a question, or you can also raise your hand, the little reaction icon, or you can just type it on the chat. It says, Jimin says, Bill, we saw your art at the store on the artwork for Stride. Great. I encourage others to use the Stride map and head along Hastings to see the various installations. Thank you, Jimin. Yes. And just a reminder that the art is going to be there until January 30th. So, you know, it's only one more week. So you better get outside, especially if there's a good day. I think Mia has a question. Mia?
Yeah, my question is, it's not for Carolyn and it's not for Bill. It's not really even a question. I just wanted to thank Shula Leonard for saying that she likes the Christmas lights on the houses, because it's something in our house, we still have the Christmas lights up, and, you know, we kind of were debating, should we take them down, you know, but they make me happy. I'm getting a lot, they make me happy. So it's nice to hear somebody else is enjoying them too. So that was my comment.
You know, that's really interesting. People like lights. Look what happened for the people who are not from North Burnaby. They put up Christmas lights. Mia, do you know how many years ago? And people wanted them so much. Now they leave them all year round. And we have really beautiful Hastings Street these days because of
I love it.
Lights. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Mike, do you have a question?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
I have one more slideshow that if you guys want to stay, we're not quite 9 o'clock. So I'm just going to share one that is kind of dear to my heart. Bill and I kind of talked about getting out of our vacuum, and he has more opportunity to get out of his vacuum because he's a skier, and he knows the mountains. And so he gets to escape or almost feel like he's been on a vacation quite often. I don't ski. I don't have anybody to go up to the mountain and cross country ski. So I don't really get to go anywhere. But one thing that I have found a lot of enjoyment of is going to the dog park. Now, I don't know how many of you have dogs. We lost our little dog a couple of years ago. So I don't go there very often unless I go and kidnap my daughter's dogs. And then I go for a walk. So I just want to show you just to lighten up your day. I don't know how many of you like dogs, but you know, we're watching dogs and like dogs are just so beautiful. And these are just a few dog pictures at our local dog walk place. So I don't know, I kind of miss being kissed by a dog. Dogs are so funny, right? Like these dogs, I don't know, they're just people's dogs. It's strange. You get the same look photographing strangers' dogs as you do if you photograph their kids. Like some people are really like, why are you photographing my dog? But they're just so cute and they're so funny. This one's not sure if he really wants to go in the cold ocean. And this one's calling us. This one's on a mission. He smells something good. This one, we used to have a poodle, so I just wanted to touch this poodle, but some people won't even let me touch them. This one I couldn't touch. They asked me not to touch her, but I loved it. This one's so proud of his ball. This one's on a mission. Sniff fest. He's at a sniff fest. These three get to play together. They don't have any restrictions. No masks for them. This one doesn't trust that one. He has to say, stay your distance. This one's waiting for the squirrel. This little one's on a mission too. This one's going, I'm so grateful he's with his mom. I think this one I scared with my lens. We're checking each other out. So that's it. So I don't know how many of you are into dogs. I know a few of you have dogs, but yeah, Jennifer has dogs. Amelia, you got a dog too, Amelia? Oh, anyway. So is there any questions before for Bill and I? Any comments?
I think Shula has a question again. Shula?
Hey, Shula.
You can unmute first, please.
I did it. Just a comment about, you know, we've had a great deal of rain. We're having an El Nino. So if you're really dog crazy, go out to Spanish Banks anytime there's any sun at all. Goodness may the gods and goddesses be with you trying to find a place to park. However, oh, there are so many happy dogs out there and happy doggy people. I have never seen so many in one spot in my life. And they're just everywhere. Every kind of dog you can think of. We're thinking about getting a dog, but I go out there and I think, yeah, we could do this. We could do this. But you might like it if you really love dogs.
I used to take my little pup up there and all my advertisements of her running are from Spanish Bakes. So yeah, that brought back a lot of memories. Okay. Oh, somebody else says Jimmy's got amazing pictures of dogs at Spanish Banks. Yes. Who else likes to photograph dogs?
Mike has a lot of dog photos.
Oh, mine are the same.
Bill's
It's
cat,
like
cat
sitting in one place, smiling.
Right.
Yeah, there's some cat people here. Yes, definitely. Lots of cat people. They're beautiful.
For a while, I was going out every day and photographing a dog every day. Like I called it a dog a day. And I was trying to do it for a year. So I have a lot of pictures of dogs down at Ambleside and different places. And then one day a lady told me I was not allowed to photograph the dogs. She said, what are you doing with these dog pictures? So I kind of quit.
It's true. I've been told that too. Like I say, you know, you go out there and if you have the long lens, you know, you have to. So yeah, I've been told that I can't touch their dog. What am I taking a picture of their dog for? Yeah.
I got some good pictures in Tofino on the water with different dogs. That was great too. You know, running along this ocean spray.
There's a lot of dogs and cats that are influencers. And so if you, any dog that is, or cat with unique settings, they could be influencers. And so they don't want their dog photographed because they have their own site. So there's many, many pets. Does anybody know a pet who has their own site?
Well, my Instagram is just my dog.
Oh.
More her Instagram than my Instagram.
A well-documented dog, that one.
How many followers does your dog have?
Oh, just friends and family.
Oh, cute. Cute.
I'd like to just thank everyone for coming out tonight, by the way. It's much appreciated on Friday night. I'm sure you had better things to do maybe, but appreciate the questions too from the loyal followers here. And thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you, Bill.
Stride Arts Festival for your great programming this year.
Thank you, Joanne, for helping.
Good.
Thank you both for participating with your art and sharing your art with others. And yeah, we really appreciate it. Again, don't forget to go and check out Bill's artwork is on display at Oxmoor Market. And then if you're out and about, you can check out the other stuff that we have going on, like the installation, the mural, soundtrack tour, and all the art displays. We have about 7 or 8 artists displaying artwork on a business in the Heights. And all the displays are actually accessible from outside. You can just watch them from the window. You don't have to go inside the business. So COVID safe. And yeah, so, and again, check out the installation at McGill Park. You can check it out day or night because it's lit up. So you can go in the evening as well to check it out. And yeah, there's also the Poetry Zone that is, you know, in posts and in different kind of hidden places. So go for a scavenger hunt and find a poem on Hastings.
And UN, tell them about, and next Friday, we're going to do one more mindful art, and we're going to have the guests for that evening is Joanne and Grant Withers. So if you can make it next Friday at 7 p.m., that would be wonderful. And you have to register also for that one.
Yeah, all our events online, you have to register. I also remind you, tomorrow we have a big event in the evening, the Celtic kitchen party night. You know, it's going to be really, really lots of fun. We have about 3 couples that will be playing music, Irish music, Celtic music. And then we also have Philomena Jordan, who is going to be telling stories, Irish stories. So I think it's going to be a great evening. I don't think you want to miss that one. If you don't have, you know, other plans, which I assume a lot of us don't have a lot of other plans, this is going to be the place to be tomorrow. It's online as well, and you do have to register. It's on our website, and but we have plenty of room for everyone, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So please check it out.
And Saturday night, if you're into 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s music, you can stay at home and have your own dance party with Living Like Larry. That's Saturday night.
That's our following Saturday. That's on the 30th, and that's going to be our closing event for Stride. That's going to be our last event. It's going to be a streaming live on our Facebook page. For that one, you don't need to register, but you do need to access Facebook. So you will be able to watch the live streaming at 8 o'clock on June the 30th. So there's still a lot of stuff going on. On Tuesday, we have, again, the screening of the MB24 film, which is the film that myself and Grant also facilitated with 24 residents of our community of North Burnaby. And we put together a 24-minute film where everybody got to shoot 1 hour of the day. So there's a representation of 24 hours of the day by 24 people that is going to be put together in 24 minutes. And we have a drive-in session on Sunday, which is going to be a kind of fun way to watch it. And then on Tuesday, we have another online screening of that film. So I think that's another one that you probably will enjoy.
Carolyn, are there still spots left to register for the drive-in?
There's still, I believe there's still 3 spots for the last slot available, maybe 4. The last time I checked, there were 4. So maybe, yeah, 4 or 3 spots available for the drive-in on the, we're actually showing that 3 times on Sunday so we can get more people to watch it with the drive-in. So for the last spot, I think it's 8:15 where you can actually sign in for that. Yeah. Thank you, Grant. Thank you for the reminder.
And I can be contacted at Facebook Mindful Art with Carolyn if you want to get a hold of me for anything. So thank you very, very much. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for asking questions, and thank you for the lovely comments. We really appreciate it.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to see you, Dan.
Likewise. Good night.
Good night.
Thank
Right.
you.
Nice to see you, Linda, Dina, Alfie. Good to see you. It was really nice. Thank you very much, Bill. Dorothy. Hi, Dorothy. It was nice to see you, Dorothy. Who else is here? Amelia.
Bye,
Thank
Mia.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I'm going to leave. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Bill.
Bye,
Thank
Bill.
you very much. Thank you. Well, that was very smooth. Thank you very much, Yuan.
No problem. Thank you. That was good. It's nice.
Yeah, it was nice. It was really nice. It ran really smooth. So thank you. You're still recording. You can take off.
Oh
the
yeah, I'm gonna
record now.
stop the recording.
Great. So you